Hi everyone, my name's Pieta Valentine. I've written 2 books, The Resident's Voice from a Dementia Unit and The Resident's Rise from a Dementia Unit. Today's session is on the fitness required for visiting a dementia unit and also working in a dementia unit. So I'll go through all the various grades of fitness that the age groups have that come into the dementia unit. Let's start with the elderly friend, say, or the elderly husband and their level of fitness and how they can manage visiting a dementia facility. And let's say the dementia facility is upstairs, which is always a bit more complicated because there's codes and things, but we'll put that into the equation. So say you're a friend of another lady that's living in the dementia unit and you're on a walking stick and you'd like to visit her. Now, if your mobility is not so good, it's better to come at the quieter times of the week. So that is between about 10 o'clock and 12 o'clock in the morning and 1 o'clock and 3 o'clock in the afternoon. In the weekdays only. Weekends are always busy with relatives who are working, coming to visit, and before 10 o'clock you've got breakfast and cares and everything else going on. But by 10 o'clock most of the residents are sitting in the lounge and they're relaxed and ready for visitors, so you can go straight there. Otherwise, if you come before that, you'll be having to find where the room is, and maybe the person's wandered off and is in another room, and on it goes. In the afternoon, after lunch, 1 o'clock, and then that afternoon time till 4 o'clock is relatively quiet. So it is a good time to come, whereas after 4 o'clock you've got medication rounds, which are always quite full on, and then you've sometimes got doctor's visits, and also afternoon staffs come on, and so some of the residents are actually changed into their nightwear for the evening. And by the way, just remember to get that heavy duty or comfortable dressing gown for mum, for that time, because she'll be in public after 4 o'clock often if she's been changed, not just to leave it at the nightie as some people do. Some people don't realise that actually people get changed in dementia facilities late in the afternoon often and then go to dinner in their nightwear. I forgot to mention that in the last video. That's why I'm saying it. Okay, so for fitness, so you're visiting your friend, you're not on a walker but you're on a walking stick. You don't often get people on walkers coming to dementia facilities visiting friends unless they've got a son or an able husband or someone else that's fit and strong enough to be able to be there with them. Okay, now remember that there is a code for when you leave the dementia facility. You need to know that. Either write it on a piece of paper or get the nurse to, write it for you, or iPhone if you're up to that. And the code for leaving the unit and going down in the lift is the same. Often it's 4 numbers and a hash at the end of it. So keep that handy, and also wait for a time when the door that you're going out of is free of other residents, because often the people or the residents that hang around the door are the ones that want to escape, and you don't want to be the one to let someone escape out the door. So just take your time with that and make sure that all is clear before you take yourself off. Also in the week, you'll find at those times I've mentioned the car parks are relatively free. There'll be enough car parks for you to easily park, whereas in the weekends it's a lot more difficult. So if you've got reduced mobility, all of those factors will help. If you've got good mobility, well, if you're fit and active and working and fine, none of these issues apply. You will just run in and see mum and then run out maybe 10 minutes later because you're fit and strong and you can do what you like in life. Well, that's good. Okay, now getting to the fitness or the relative fitness, not just of the relatives but of the staff. I'm just going to mention a few things here because it's very important really that the public know these things. Working with residents in a dementia facility is a really physically demanding job, incredibly physical. For anyone, and I'm sure some of you out there will have cared for your husband or, your father, or whatever, and you know how much work it is. Sometimes it's a whole family effort just to look after one person in the family with dementia. So imagine looking after 9 people in a shift, which is often the case. 9 people, showering, dressing, looking after them. It's a really big job, as well as serving lunch, serving afternoon tea, morning tea, doing the dishes as well. It's really huge. Now, because of this, there's a lot of demand and stress on the staff to get through their cares, and then still they have to write all the notes on top of that, which is also a big job, especially if the computer system goes down and they can't leave until they've done their notes. So many stresses. So appreciating that, appreciating what the carer for your mother or father is going through. Get to know them. Really helps if you do, because when you come, if they know you, they'll say, oh yes, I know where your mother is, and they'll run off and get them, or they'll call out to one of the carers to go and get them, or she's probably in that room, that's where she usually lies down to sleep, even though it's not her own room, or whatever. They tend to know the comings and goings, whereas if you have to go around every room and find out where mum is, it's like tedious, tiresome, time consuming. It can take 20 minutes to find out where someone's lying down, and you don't really feel comfortable going into other residents' rooms anyway. When you think about it, you can only really look in if the door's open, and then half your visiting time's gone. So that's why all these things, that we're mentioning in these videos help to be able to orientate to the unit and help have an easier time when you visit. Okay, now with the staff as well, they're busy, they're full on, flat out. Injuries are rife for staff in dementia units because there's so much heavy lifting. Frozen shoulders, strained necks, strained shoulders, tennis elbows, sore lower back. Yeah, they're often off work with them and often working in pain. And often it's the majority on a shift will be working in pain, and not just moderate pain, but often high pain, So that's why, because they've used up all their sick leave often, so that's why we have to have a lot of appreciation for the staff, and what they have to go through. And then sometimes the girls are pregnant, 6 months pregnant and still working. It's an incredibly difficult job. But they do respond to, carers and staff like to get to know the residents, the relatives, and it makes a big difference if you can, appreciate their efforts and maybe bring in a couple, some home baking or something like that, nice card, little gift at Christmas, which many relatives do. All those things are really appreciated by staff, and it just gives that extra sort of boost of morale, if you like, to be able to get through the next shift. So these are some of the aspects in terms of fitness. If you're not feeling well on the day that you're planning to visit, probably best not to come. You really need to be in good spirits and have a bit of strength and vitality, going on to be able to go to a unit. And if you haven't really got that on board, it's better really to go with someone that has, so that then you're better prepared to be able to manage your visit at the dementia facility. So these are just a few tips for you. If you have any other elderly friend that's sort of wondering whether to go to the dementia unit or not to visit their friend, and indeed can they manage it, pass the link on to them or the information so that they can be better prepared as well. Thank you.